Hello, it's Eva Veggie. If you've listened to Gary Yourofsky's most important speech you will ever hear, there's a part where he's talking about dairy, and he says that the reason vegetarians never go vegan is because of cheese.
Most people can't even fathom one meal, let alone one day or a lifetime without cheese. In fact, if you want to know why vegetarians never go vegan, cheese. Cheese on a baked potato, cheese on the broccoli, cheese on everything in sight.
Now, I'd like to give some commentary on this line of the speech in particular, because I'm one of those vegetarians who finally went vegan. So, of course, it's not true that vegetarians never go vegan, but it is true that vegetarians have a hard time going vegan for several reasons, and cheese is maybe not the only one, or even the most important. I know there are a lot of vegans out there who were vegetarians before and who used vegetarianism as a stepping stone to get to veganism. However, there are also many vegetarians who don't even plan on ever going vegan, who don't even consider it. And I was one of those vegetarians for a long time. I was vegetarian for 8 years, and I only recently became vegan curious, and I finally went vegan a couple of months ago. So I definitely know where those vegetarians are coming from and how maybe they're feeling. I can only speak of my own experience. I'm not claiming to speak for all vegetarians, so please don't be offended if what I'm saying doesn't apply to you personally, or if your thoughts and feelings as a vegetarian are different. But this is how I experienced being a vegetarian and considering going vegan. And what happened is, when I was a vegetarian, I felt very good about that. I was proud of myself for being a vegetarian. And I basically patted myself on the back and said, hey, I'm a vegetarian. I'm doing my part for the animals. I'm reducing suffering in the world, and it's a great way to be, and I love it. I feel great. And vegetarianism is the best. And then you find out there are vegans who are yet who don't agree with your vegetarian lifestyle. And at first you don't understand. I was, as a vegetarian, I thought, vegetarians and vegans, yeah, we're on the same side, and we have so much in common. But then you have vegans basically preaching to vegetarians against eggs and dairy and the cruelty involved in that. And as a vegetarian, I felt like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm not the enemy here. I'm a vegetarian. Hello, I don't eat animals. Why are you picking on me? Go talk to the meat eaters. Look at them and what suffering they're causing. It's not my fault. I'm not the problem here. I'm part of the solution. And you become very defensive. At least that's how I felt. I felt that vegans were saying that vegetarians were part of the problem, and I thought I was part of the solution. I had this imaginary pie chart in my head that represented the totality of animal suffering. And I imagined meat being this great evil that took up most of the chart, right? And then you had a little sliver for eggs and a little sliver for dairy. Those are minor things in this whole picture. So by going vegetarian, look, I'm cutting out all of this. I don't need any meat at all. So I'm doing this great, I'm doing such a great thing for the animals, and I feel good about it, and I'm proud of it, and don't tell me that I'm wrong. And then you have, it's all based on wishful thinking, really. So I was still eating eggs and dairy, and I was making myself feel better by buying the cage-free, free-range, organic, antibiotic-free, hormone-free eggs. But really, I didn't want to think about the fact that all this suffering goes on in the egg industry, regardless of the labels that they put on the carton. I heard about, I knew about male chicks being ground up alive and all this horrible stuff, and it was almost too horrible to be believed. And so I didn't. I just basically ignored it and put it out of my mind, because I was telling myself, I'm a vegetarian, and I I need eggs in my diet to have a complete balanced diet, and it's important and it's a good food and all that. You know, it was harder with dairy to justify, because dairy really is not good for you, and I knew that for a while. But still, as you, or at least I, as a vegetarian, I did not see myself as part of the problem. And that's what I would like to call the vegetarian blinders. I know Gary Yourofsky talks about meat eaters wearing blinders and not wanting to see the cruelty and the suffering in the industry. I think there is a whole separate set of vegetarian blinders, where you know that it's wrong to eat animals and to kill them, but somehow you don't want to see that the dairy and egg industry is as cruel, if not more so, than the meat industry. You just ignore that fact and you don't want to think about it. So that's what I think is the main obstacle for vegetarians to become vegans, is just that that you feel you're already there. That's basically the thing. You think you're 90% there to being vegan, and why do I have to be a perfectionist and go all the way vegan when I'm this close? That's how I felt, and it took me a long time to realize that I wasn't that close at all, that I was a long way from being vegan, that I was really still eating a lot of animal products and not thinking about it, and having the same mindset as a meat eater. Having, you know, finding excuses and justifying the continued consumption of animal products. It takes some willful ignorance and some mental gymnastics to find excuses and justify it. And at some point I just couldn't do it anymore. So as a vegetarian, I began to feel like a hypocrite. And that's exactly what I was. I was still consuming animal products with really the same mindset as meat eaters have about meat. I didn't want to know where it was coming from and how it was being produced. I didn't want to hear about it, I didn't want to see it. I had my blinders still firmly in place, even though I was a vegetarian and felt like I had already made a big step. But really I was still so far. And when I realized that, that's when I finally decided to take the step and go vegan. I just logical thinking led me down that path, that where I realized that what I'm doing, being a vegetarian, doesn't make sense. It's not logical, it's not consistent, and I just couldn't continue that anymore. So here I am. I am now a former vegetarian. I'm now vegan, and I want to be vegan for life. And I feel bad about the years I spent as a vegetarian, still consuming animal products with no regard for the animals' welfare or life. But you know, I can't spend my time feeling bad about it now, because there's only one way. I can only go forward and not continue this. And by going vegan and staying on that path, that's the only way for me now, where I know that that is an approach that is consistent and that really makes sense to me, and I can only go forward from here. So if you want to know more about my vegan journey, I hope you subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.